Alright guys, Tactical here back again today. Hope you're all enjoying your Sunday so far. Today I wanted to talk about yesterday the CDL released a clip from contesting the point where Merk kind of had a stern message, as they described it, for fans who keep, propagating, I suppose, negativity surrounding the CDL. I think on the whole Merk is pretty correct on this issue. I think there was some misunderstanding of exactly what he was saying. Wanted to go through that in the coming minutes here. So I'd like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always. Appreciate your thoughts down in the comment section below for sure. And let's hop right into, first of all, the Amateur Weekend Challengers Cup that's going on this weekend, presented by PlayStation. So the CoD League tweets out yesterday. Subscribe and set your reminder now, so it's being streamed at the YouTube, the YouTube CDL channel. These are the times for the final. So this is actually what was going on. I saw a lot of the players were streaming most of the early round matchups throughout yesterday. But today, the finals are going to be streamed. I'm not sure if these are streamed live or pre-recorded in advance and then made available at these times, because that's Madcat says in the replies right here, the European final last week started around the same time as the North American final is scheduled for this week. So last week, they had the Dallas Open alongside the Challengers, Dallas Open, whatever. The Challenger side of it, this weekend, we have the proper CDL Challengers Cup. So more Call of Duty to watch is the better. But the APAC finals are going to go live at 12 PM Eastern time. European finals 3 hours after that, and the North American finals 3 hours after that, so keep that one in mind. Here it is on the big screen if you guys couldn't quite see that, because I'm sure most of you watch this on mobile. At CDC Update, great resource for following all the results right here if you guys want to give them a follow to keep up to date with it. And also I saw that Spaceman's going to be casting it. Not exactly sure who else is going to be casting it. I did see that I Hold Shift will not be casting it, which was really a surprise to me. Like, I don't think there's anyone in the community that's put as much effort in to the amateur scene, at least, covering the entirety of the amateur scene, especially doing all the casting he's done with multiple different organizations. So he's really put a lot of effort into it. So it did surprise me to see the CDL clearly haven't chosen it. Maybe there's some behind the scenes reasons that I don't understand, but yeah, that was kind of a surprise to me. But yeah, regardless, the CDC will be on this afternoon if you guys want to watch that. So let's hop right into this then. So this video came out yesterday, the listen up moment from presented by Astro. Effectively, Merk got a minute to explain his points to the community. Now, one thing to say just before I share this with you guys, this contesting the point stuff, there is always an element that this is not necessarily dramatized, but it's always made deliberately controversial to some degree. You guys might remember a while ago there was the Nameless Shotzi is a bust thing that, I didn't report on it at the time because Nameless wasn't actually saying Shotzi was a bust. He was given the statement that Shotzi was a bust, and then he had to defend it, right? So it's obviously not quite the same thing. So to some degree, they make these shows deliberately, spark some conversation, let's put it that way. So this is the statement from Merk. It's effectively a minute long. Obviously this is just a one-off statement, so maybe he doesn't explain all of his points in the best way that he possibly could have done, and I do think there is some misinterpretation of exactly what he's saying here, but I'll show it on screen now.
But yeah, I am just seeing way too much negative energy on social media, on Reddit. The Call of Duty League has had to make such a transition. There's been so many people working their tails off to be able to bring you guys these online tournaments, and I'm just happy, man. I'm happy we got to, go through one of those tournaments again. Congrats to the Florida Mutineers, but to all you negative people out there that are complaining about so many things, oh, this doesn't count, it's all baloney. People are just trying to give you guys an excellent product, and the fact that you continue to put all this negative BS out there, it's just unreal, man. In such a tough time right now for so many different people. Enjoy the Call of Duty League. I know I am. I know myself and Maven were so excited to cast once again this weekend, and it is only going to improve from here. Yes, do I want to be on LAN? Yes, do I want the fans going crazy? Absolutely. It's not like anyone doesn't want that. So for all you people out there that are going crazy, that are being super negative, screw you.
So firstly, let's discuss what Merk is saying in this one. I think on the whole, he's saying, as fans, we should just be more grateful of what the CDL is able to offer. And I do think that being grateful is a virtue which is, well, it's pretty rare nowadays, frankly. And I think that especially from Call of Duty perspective, we are in a much better position than a lot of other esports right now. The fact that, or not even just other esports, but other sports in general, other communities in general. The fact that we have the ability to still watch competitive Call of Duty on the weekends, we have the challenge Managers Cup every 2 weeks, and in a few weeks' time it'll be every 1 week. We have the professional scene, scrims are still on, and we can still play the game. Like, all of these kind of things definitely mean that we probably should be more grateful for what the CDL is offering than a lot of people are in the scene. And I think really what Merk is getting at here is the fact that there's a lot of people complaining, in his opinion, unnecessarily, and effectively putting things out there which aren't helping anyone, which I think is fair enough, to be honest. But of course, from his perspective, he sees it slightly differently, because he receives the brunt of the impact, I suppose, of people complaining. And I'm sure Maven feels the very, very similar way. On the Hardpoints podcast, he was talking about some of the things that get tweeted are pretty outrageous. So I do think there are certain people in the community which are very vocal about things that really the Merk and those guys, the analysts, can't really control to much degree. So I definitely think that frustration is valid from the casters and the analysts, because some of the criticisms are not necessarily constructive, right? And I think that's what Merk is getting at. He's saying that, look, some of the criticisms that we're seeing, they're not exactly constructive. They don't help anyone. Would be greater if, as he says, just, shut up and enjoy the games, effectively, is what he's going for there. And I'm sure some people, and I saw this post on Reddit that got a lot of traction, I think that Emperor definitely has a point here. I think maybe he's misinterpreted slightly what Merk is saying, but you guys might disagree in the comment section below. I think this post got a lot of traction because people, maybe some people don't like to be called out in this manner, and I'm not saying Merk's 100% correct on this issue. And of course, there are some glaring issues with the product, as Emperor says right here. Like, people are trying to give you an excellent product. Of course, people are trying to give you an excellent product. From the fans' perspective, it was pretty good. Obviously, there was things that we can improve on. There's no secret that the audio issues were prevalent throughout the weekend. I'm sure from the players' perspective, of course, the servers and that weren't great by any means. So from the players' perspective, it's kind of frustrating. From the fans' perspective, it wasn't great by any means either. So I can see the frustration. But of course, it's going to get better going forward. There's no denying that. So, of course, obviously, it's not the perfect product that we have right now, but maybe we should still be grateful for the fact that we can actually experience the product in the way that it is being offered, right? And hopefully, over time, it will get better as well. I think where people kind of got hung up on here is that Merk was saying that, all this discussion about, don't they count, like all this stuff, it's all baloney, effectively, I think is the word he decides to use. And I think what he means there, I think people have been interpreting this as, look, people who are having the argument as to whether it counts or doesn't count, that argument is irrelevant, and I kind of agree with that sentiment. I think what a lot of people are interpreting him as saying, and I might be incorrect in my interpretation for sure here, but I think what he's trying to say is that argument just doesn't really matter. Like, let's just not even waste our time thinking about that, rather than him saying they do count, this is 100% a full LAN tournament, because I think that, of course, if we look at pre-CDL tournaments, the massive 16-team plus all the amateur stuff, you go to a CDL Anaheim, you're 100 Thieves, you're an OpTic Gaming or whatever, you win it. That is like such a massive accomplishment, right? And then the World Championship as well. Such a massive accomplishment. All the teams are there. It's online, massive crowds. Like, that's the pinnacle in a sense. This season, post-CDL, I suppose, now the CDL has started, we have 8-team events on LAN. Clearly, they probably aren't worth quite as much as a traditional 16-team plus open team event that we would have at a LAN event. So we have that to consider. Probably post-CDL events are slightly less prestigious than pre-CDL events. And now we have online events, which are just another step down. I'm not saying they don't count at all. I think, as Magcat said when we did talk about this, there's still wins, but maybe they're not championships in the same respect. So that's maybe something to think about. And as Maven says in this tweet, if the CDL does last for 20 years, let's say, maybe that's fantasy, but whatever, let's say it does, all that time frame away, all people are going to be thinking about is CDL wins. But that depends on whether the format changes going forward. If we go back to an every single team is there every single weekend kind of thing, which would make it more pre-CDL style. But I think what Merk's really getting at is that, look, this argument is kind of irrelevant. Probably better for us to enjoy the Call of Duty. And of course, from his perspective and from the CDL's perspective, they obviously cannot propagate the idea that these events don't count, because why is anyone going to tune in to watch their product if they don't count? I'm sure it'd be easier from Merk and the CDL's perspective that people stop discussing whether they count or not and just kind of accept that they do count, because then people are going to watch in higher frequency, right? So that's obviously kind of what he's getting at here, but I do think that Emperor and some of the other people that were criticizing what Merk is saying are on to one point as well, but maybe not entirely accurate in their interpretations of what Merk is saying, but maybe I'm being generous. So, look, as he says right here, everyone understands the CDL was dealt a bad hand. That's a completely separate issue as whether they should account to pre-COVID-19 LAN events. Just because the CDL had to scramble and work hard to bring the CDL back doesn't directly mean these should count, and no one can say anything bad about them. That argument from the casters and hardpoints literally makes zero sense, and saying that they don't count doesn't mean we can enjoy the matches and appreciate the work they've done to bring CoD back. No matter how much hard work goes into it, no matter how much of a tough time it is for so many different people, online CoD is simply not the same as LAN, especially in a game like Modern Warfare, one of the worst online in recent memory. People say that every year, especially with the way the servers were chosen. That's just a fact. So, okay, I can understand his sentiment here. Guess what? We can hold two thoughts in our head. We can both be appreciative of the CDL working hard to bring us something and enjoy it, acknowledge this is not equivalent to the 3 CDL home series that already happens. These two thoughts are not mutually exclusive. So look, I do appreciate what Emperor is saying here, and I understand this perspective for sure, and I think he is very appreciative of what the CDL have done to bring them the hard work. But of course, he is having the perspective that, like, these don't count the same as the other events, which is perfectly fine. And I think Merk is happy to acknowledge that they're not the same as a LAN tournament, but at the same time, we could have nothing at all. So, some interesting replies to this one. It's the classic, I worked hard for it, if you don't worship it. Like, I don't understand with this take. I think that there are some people here, I think Dr. Findra is probably more on the money. A lot of people here just want to be seen as a victim because they got called out. I'm sure everyone at the CDL knows the shortfallings of this format. Doesn't mean there's much that the CDL themselves can do about it at the current time, especially, Activision and the servers is probably more of the key issue. I read your whole post and feel you, but I think Merk has the correct take here. It's false to claim he's pretending the online league is equivalent to LAN. He understands that. He's definitely not lazy. He has the ear to the ground of the community. I interpret what he's saying to be, look, for all the people at the CDL do the community, it'd be nice to focus on the good we have when the world at large is going through a tough time. I actually think Merk would agree with your opinions about LAN, but your disagreement with his 60 seconds is exactly his point. This community, by and large, chooses to focus on negativity, or on negatively, whatever, in the moment than say anything else. I feel you're not trying to gaslight anyone, but this league has bent over backwards to make this work and really would get more stuff thrown at them for anything else. I don't see why the community always has to be right. Sometimes we are wrong. And, I think he's probably said that better than I have throughout the course of the video. This was the Maven tweet on the pre-post CDL stuff, and I just wanted to finish off with this kind of funny clip from Zuma here, where he absolutely smokes people on Azir Cave. So I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below on this one. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new for sure. Check out the CDC coming up the rest of the day as well, and at the end of this week we have the Chicago Huntsman home series. Definitely a lot of ground to cover on that one as well. So thanks for watching as always. I'll see you next time.
Stand by to move. Get to the next one. Location secured.